Big Rocks Balancing Act, Guided Close Read. James Brune, the geologist mentioned in the essay, published an article in the journal American Scientist in 2007 titled Gauging Earthquake Hazards with Precariously Balanced Rocks. This selection is an expository essay, a short work of nonfiction that presents or explains information and ideas. All writers want to grab readers' interest at the beginning. Reread lines 1 and 2. What image does the first sentence create in your mind? Why did the author choose to begin the article in this way? Pause while you think. The sentence describes a person leaning out of a flying airplane taking photos. The image is both a little startling and intriguing. It makes readers wonder what taking pictures from airplanes has to do with rocks. In lines 12 through 15, notice that there are some words in quotation marks. These words are not dialogue like in a story. In expository text, a quotation relates a real person's exact words. Note that bracketed words are added by the author for clarity. Reread lines 12 through 15. Find Richard Brune's exact words. What effect does the quotation have on the text? Pause while you think. His exact words are, "It's not that bad. From 1,000 feet, you've probably got at least 9 or 10 seconds before you really have to pull the ripcord." The quotation gives the text a personal eyewitness feel. It also gives the reader an idea of what Brune is like. Text features help organize or bring attention to important information. Photographs and captions are text features that can clarify or add information to the text. Take another look at the photo and caption on page 158. How do the photograph and caption contribute to the text? Pause while you think. The photograph gives a good visual example of a balanced rock and what little support it has. The caption tells how long the rock has been in that spot. Notice that there is a heading in the middle of page 158. This is another text feature that authors use to help organize information. A heading helps readers understand what the section is about. Reread the heading on page 158. What do you expect to read about in this section based on the heading? Pause while you think. This section will probably explain something about Richard Brune's odd hobby of photographing balanced rocks. Authors use different patterns of organization or ways of structuring the ideas and information in expository writing. An author might use one pattern throughout an essay, or different sections might follow different patterns. One pattern of organization is cause and effect, in which text is organized to show the relationship between causes and effects. Reread lines 44 through 48. Identify two causes and their effects in the paragraph. Pause while you think. Cause: no large earthquakes have occurred. Effect: delicate, easy-to-tip balanced rocks can be found. Cause: strong earthquakes have occurred. Effect: only more solidly grounded rocks are found. Sometimes an author uses a signal word or phrase, such as because, so, or as a result, to indicate a cause and effect relationship. Reread lines 49 through 54. Find the signal word or phrase and explain the cause and effect relationship it indicates. Pause while you think. The signal word is because. Cause: balanced rocks can give clues about the history of earthquakes. Effect. Geologists are interested in studying balanced rocks. Another cause and effect relationship is presented in lines 92 through 95, but without a signal word. Instead, the relationship is implied. Closely reread lines 92 through 95. Explain the cause and effect relationship. Pause while you think. The cause. River water chews away at the weaker types of rock. Effect. The stronger types of rock are left behind, sometimes balancing on thin foundations. Even though an article or essay might have one overall pattern of organization, individual paragraphs or sections might use a different pattern. Information in the paragraph in lines 109 through 112 is organized in chronological or time order. Reread lines 109 through 112. Find the words and phrases that indicate the passage of time or the order of events. Pause while you think. The phrases late one afternoon and a couple of days after their walk indicate when the event is occurring and that it happens after the walk in the gully that was described previously. Some causes have multiple effects. In lines 140 through 148, Fox describes a cause and effect relationship related to how long a rock is exposed to sunlight. The second effect is not stated directly, but is implied. Reread lines 140 through 148. Explain the cause and the two effects. Pause while you think. The cause is the sun's rays hit the rock. Effect number 1, beryllium-10 develops in its outer layer. Effect number 2, the presence or absence of beryllium-10 allows scientists to determine how long the rock has been exposed to sunlight. Authors of expository text may use figurative language or words used in a way that is different from their literal meaning. They do this to help make complex technical concepts clear to readers. Reread lines 140 through 148. Find two examples of figurative language. What does each of them mean, and what was the author's purpose for using each? Pause while you think. Figurative language. The rock is getting sunburned. The author is comparing the process of beryllium-10 forming in a rock to a person getting sunburned to help readers relate a complex process to something familiar. Figurative language. Before running water chews it out of the desert floor, helps readers visualize how running water eats away at the rock. Lines 156 through 162 describe a cause and three effects. Note that sometimes an effect is named first and then the cause is identified. Reread lines 156 through 162. Find the text evidence demonstrating a cause and its three effects. Pause while you think. Cause. In a desert, there is little water to alter the landscape. Effect 1. Change occurs very slowly. Effect 2. A rock can stay still for a long time. Effect 3. Ice doesn't form inside cracks in the rock and slowly pry it apart. Identifying the cause and effect organization of a paragraph can help you determine the central idea or most important idea in the paragraph or section of text. Reread lines 167 through 174. Cite an example of a word that reveals cause and effect structure. Pause while you think. The word because in the sentence, "The rocks survived because Antarctica is a desert," reveals a cause and effect structure. What is the central idea of this paragraph, and how does that sentence support it? Pause while you think. The central idea is that Antarctica has the oldest, most unchanging landscapes on Earth. The sentence about Antarctica being a desert reinforces this idea, showing why the landscape is unchanging. Once again, in lines 193 to 204, Fox uses an example to support the statement he makes in the first sentence in lines 193, 194. Reread lines 193 to 204. Explain what less destructive method Richard has found. What pattern of organization does the author use to describe this method? Pause while you think. Richard first takes photographs, then loads the photos into a computer and makes a virtual model. He can then run a computer program to learn how much force it takes to tip the rock without actually moving it. The author uses chronological order in this description.